Oh, child, I'm back again. All right. So we are at the beginning of round 4, okay? I know that the internet, like if you go on Twitter and stuff, you would swear that Aubrey only dropped like one song and Kendrick has dropped 15 on his head. I pro okay. Let me just talk about it, then I'll get into my feelings, right? By my account, right? Family Matters dropped by Drake. Then a half an hour later, I believe Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams. And then yesterday, Saturday night, Kendrick dropped Not For Us, right? So 2 times he kind of did the back-to-back drop to him both times. But can I say this before I go further? I know it. I'm telling you, if you go online and you're not really thinking about this critically, you would swear that Drake is being like completely demolished and that he's just not keeping up with the pace. But to be quite honest, they're even as far as the rounds is concerned because everybody has to remember this. When Drake dropped Push Ups, he dropped Tailor Made Freestyle after that. So Drake dropped 2 disses. In return, Kendrick dropped 2 disses. Then Drake dropped one. Then Kendrick dropped one right after. And then he dropped another one again. Meaning that Drake really so far only has one. If we're talking about Drake starting, right? You have Push Ups versus Euphoria. And the reason I have it that way is because he dropped Push Ups first. And Kendrick dropped Euphoria first. Then you have Tailor Made Freestyle because that's the second song that Drake dropped. And then you have 616 because that's the second song that Kendrick dropped. Then you have Family Matters that Drake dropped. And then right after that, Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams. And then Kendrick dropped Not For Us. So now giving Kendrick the kind of like starting point. So now Kendrick dropped For Us. And now we're just waiting on a reply for Not For Us. To me, he doesn't have to respond to Meet to the Grams. I think Meet the Grams was a response to Family Matters personally. But if he wants to, he can. So far, the way I'm looking at it, I think Euphoria was better than Push Ups. I think Tailor Made Freestyle was better than 616. The more that I listen, I really think Family Matters is better than Meet the Grams, and then we have Not For Us. So in my scoreboard, I have it 2-1. If we're going off of that scoreboard. Now, let's talk about Family Matters first, and then we'll talk about Meet the Grams. So, Drake dropped Family Matters, okay? He had a video to accompany it as well. Long story short, the first beat that, because Drake did 3 beats for this, the first beat that he did, he addressed Kendrick a lot. Like, it was a lot of addressing Kendrick, saying how Kendrick is like this fake ass black messiah, but he walks around with a mixed ass queen. That he's lying about having paperwork on him. The most important thing of that first part is that he says that Kendrick's wife cheated on him and that his kid may not be his and that his kid may be his wife's kid may be with his general manager named Dave Freeze. That's the biggest part of that first little section. But the first section is kind of a little bit of your bop bop. It takes over from the end of Push Ups. That little first half that we heard at the end of Push Ups, that's a continuation of this song. Meaning he already had the majority of this song in the tuck. He just had to kind of sprinkle in things that Kendrick may have said about him in Euphoria and in 616. So it's a couple little bars in there to combat some of the stuff that he said, right? Then we shift into the second beat of Family Matters. Now, once we get into the second beat of Family Matters, which is probably one of the hardest beats so far, like if we don't count like that, this beat is crazy. It's kind of like a drill beat for real. He's like, all right, I've been playing around with you. Let me start taking these niggas seriously. That's when it's time to shift in the upward position. Drake's flow, Drake killed that whole second beat. he goes crazy. Now the second beat, he takes the majority of the time to shoot at everybody else, the little ancillary characters. And y'all have to remember, now this is the thing. A lot of people is mad like, oh, I don't want him addressing any of these other people. It needs to be just about Kendrick. But stop for a second. In push-ups, in Taylor Made Freestyle, he literally said, the rest of you niggas, oh, I'm going to get to y'all in a second. Don't think that I forgot. I'm going to get back to all of y'all. I'm not mad at him addressing those people because yes, y'all want it to be just a Kendrick Drake thing, but everybody else made it so that it can't be. Kendrick is not the only person shooting at this nigga. Yes, just because that's what y'all as the fans would like to see, let's think about what's actually happening now. It's not just Kendrick that's shooting at Drake. These niggas made how is it that niggas are able to make 2 full projects about me and I'm not allowed to say anything to these niggas no more because y'all want me to just focus on a nigga that y'all really, really like? Fuck out of here. No. Everybody's getting headshots. Everybody's getting headshots. I love the fact that he didn't even spend that much time yet again on Metro. Metro got one line and that's it, okay? Another thing that doesn't make sense to me is people was saying before in his other ones like, oh, you didn't say nothing about Future because you're scared. But then he says something about Future very briefly and people want to try to act like, oh, why are you focusing on him? Or people are like, oh, why are you focusing in on Rick Ross? Okay, well, Rick Ross dropped a track. Although the majority of us is like, oh, Rick, we don't really care like that. We did all listen to it, and the main thing that we all pulled from it was calling him white boy. So how can he not respond to that? I think he did a great job of using that second beat to pretty much clump all you niggas together. Kendrick still kind of got his own dedicated spots. The first half was pretty much all Kendrick, and the last half was all Kendrick full out. I like the fact that he took the middle beat to address all you other niggas that wanted to pop in. Weeknd got some fucking strays. Ross obviously got some strays. Metro got a stray. I found it interesting though what he said about Future, and this gives me a little bit more information as to why maybe he's not going as hard on Future. He pretty much said that the Pluto shit made him sick to his stomach because they never really been through anything. So he was like, so it has to be Leland Wayne, who is Metro, in your ear influencing you. So to me that makes sense why he's not going in on Future compared to everybody else, because it seems like he's saying, I thought me and you was cool. Like, we never had any issues at all. Oh, and he also says as a follow-up, they had a plan and they finally was able to rope you into it. So let's go back to the Kanye interview, right, that he did with Justin LeBoy, where he said that Metro had called him down to the studio for the quote-unquote elimination of Drake. That to me is what it sounds like Drake is saying. Like, I didn't have any problems with you, Future. It just seems like all of these niggas had a plan to try to come at my ass and you just got roped into it. And so now we're here. I love the fact that he explained that. That gives a little bit more insight, at least to what's going on with him in Future. I love the part in the song where he says, which one of my so-called niggas, which one of my so-called niggas. That, I'm not gonna lie, that hurt my feelings a little bit. That hurt my feelings because it's like, my niggas, quote unquote, y'all my so-called niggas. And I feel like that's not just even for the people on the track. I feel like that's for the people that's around him. And a lot of people I feel like are missing that. When everybody is saying that there is a leak in the OVO camp, there obviously is, but I really feel like that which one of my so-called niggas was not just for the people that was on the tracks, because he's clearly not friends with The Weeknd. Like, the only person that he was really friends with, it seems like, out of all of this was Future. He's not friends with Metro, never was, not really friends. He was okay with Ross, and he's never been friends with The Weeknd. So when he says, which one of my so-called niggas, to me, that's saying, which one of my so-called niggas in my group is it that I'm going to have to smoke out? Because I think that's him acknowledging, yeah, these niggas who claim to be my niggas, which one of my so-called niggas, that's how I take that line. I don't take it as him meaning the people that he's dissing. I think he's literally aiming that at the people that's around him. So which one of my so-called niggas do I have to fucking to air out now. I knew I have to smoke y'all niggas anyway. Love that part. I think a lot of people are misreading that line. Love that part. Love that part. But it also made me really sad, right? He gave Kendrick a little bit of a dig there, saying the only time your shit hit is when Baby Keem put his pen to it. Love that part. Then we get into the third section of the song. Now, the third section of the song is legitimately dedicated to Kendrick and to Kendrick only. Some of the things that he says in that song, the most, I guess, again, scathing things or noteworthy things, is the fact that, number one, that Kendrick hired, and he said this at the end, they hired a crisis management team to hide the fact that you beat on your queen. That was like the last line next to "you did," and then at the top of that, again, before we even get to the wife thing. Again, he's bringing up the fact, like he did in the first verse, that you want to try to tote yourself as this black savior of all and all and all, but you really got some shit going on with you too. First of all, again, going back to the whole wife thing, you want to talk about me and me being light skinned and me being half and half and all of this other shit, but you're actually married to a mixed queen. So how are you talking about me when you are not only not married, but you are with a mixed person and your child is mixed as well? He also brought up the fact that he feels like, Kendrick, you don't really want to be around nobody that's darker than you because you feel like you're the blackiest black of all. So nobody can be more blacker than you and care more than you. So that's the point that you try to sit in. You try to be that nigga so badly. But with all of that being said, because there's a Michael Jackson scheme at the third part that's so fire. He pretty much says, and it's flipping the Michael Jackson thing again. They've been flipping that Mike and Prince thing a lot. He's like, what I'm noticing is maybe I'm Prince and you're actually Mike, because Mike did all of these things to change his features to make him appear to be more white. And Top Dog has you on pop records so that you can rap for the whites, meaning that as much as you try to make it seem like, oh, you're Prince and you're just for the people and all of this, then why do you ever feel the need to hop on white ass pop ass records to sing for these white people? Make it make sense. I think that's a clever I thought the way that he put that together was really clever. And I think that that's an extremely interesting angle to say, if you really only truly cared about black people and black people only, and you're talking about me trying to appease to the whites, then why do you do that? Why don't you just stick with only doing your rapidy raps to just the culture? You don't do that. You hop on these put you on all of these other records, right? So that you can appeal to the white audience, and you do it. So how are you not wrong? I think that's a sickening fucking, I think that angle is amazing. I think it's a great point, and I think it's a great angle. And so, like I said, so outside of that angle, the other angle is you beat on your wife. And he keeps saying about Kendrick, you be trying to tote yourself out. And one thing I'll give Drake is he has had the consistent angle, which is you keep trying to portray yourself as something that you're not. I think he said that at the end too. Like, you making it seem like you this like you this all savior, again, Mr. Morale, but you out here allegedly beating on your queen. So is you Mr. Morale or not? I like that angle. I like the angle of you trying to, and this is where I said this, like, I did a video on this before, but I took it down because a whole bunch of other stuff happened. But I said this on my last video, that Kendrick trying to set himself up as the Mr. Morale guy is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, because if you're going to be Mr. Morale, then you have to be Mr. Morale. That means there can't really be no chinks in your armor, and you're human. So that's going to happen. But the things that you are touting about, we'll get to that next, right? So I loved Family Matters. I thought it was a great, solid ass response. Here's the problem. This is where Drake is losing in this battle to me, right? For the first time, I think in Drake's career, the media in particular, like the media and social media in particular, are making him lose this battle, in the sense of this. And I said this in my last video. Drake has a lot going against him, right? This is Drake's battle to lose. I don't know why Joe said that this is for Kendrick, like that Drake has the most to lose from all of this or something like that. No, no, no. This is the easiest one for Drake to lose. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, Drake has about 20 million people coming at him at the same time. So even if he makes a decision to just focus on Kendrick, which I think he can do that now, but I think if he did it before, people will call him out of saying, "Oh, well, you didn't have nothing to say about Ross. You didn't have nothing to say about this person. You didn't have nothing to say about this person. Oh, but one person makes one verse about you and now you're coming at them." So that's number one, right? So I'm just talking from the public perspective, right? So if you did not address everyone, people will have a problem. The fact that you did address everyone, everybody has a problem. But that puts that together. There's so many niggas working together to take this nigga the fuck out. It's not just a Kendrick thing. Kendrick is cool with Metro, who he's on that beat. The song that Kendrick just put out, DJ Mustard is on his side. So pretty much, Kendrick has the entire West Coast, and not just the entire West Coast, but he has the entire West Coast and the majority of the industry on his side. So it's not really, and that's why I said it's even kind of hard for me sometimes to compare the two, because Kendrick's songs are just simply about Drake, but that's because they can be. They can be. Who else is going to at Kendrick? There's nobody else. Drake, on the other hand, he can now. I'll say that he can now. But at the time when this first started, he cannot just focus on Kendrick, because it wasn't just Kendrick that was dissing him. You have 15 trillion niggas dissing him. So he has to hit all of these niggas, right? So you're already at a disadvantage because you have 20 people coming after you, meaning you have to address a lot of people. You can't really dedicate your time to just one single person. I think you can now, but I don't think at first you could not. You had to address everybody that was coming out with you. Kendrick did a verse. Metro and Future did 2 whole albums dissing you. You can't just let that shit slide by. Can't happen. Can't happen, right? So you have that, right? Then another thing that's going against Drake is the fact that outside of Kendrick stands, which trust me, I will get to in a second. Outside of Kendrick stands, right? You literally just have a group of people who just don't like Drake. Not having anything to do with Kendrick. They just genuinely don't like him. They don't like what he stands for. They might bop his music, but they don't really like him like as a person, right? And that's because Drake is very overexposed. And that's another thing with the Drake too, where he loses. You're way overexposed compared to Kendrick. I think y'all both have things that's working for y'all and that's hurting y'all. Kendrick being not as out there helps him and hurts him, and you being all the way out there helps you and hurts you, Drake. It hurts you because there's already a perception of you that no matter what you do in this battle, which I've seen it, the public is swayed towards Kendrick. I think this is the first time in his career that I won't say that, because people thought that Meek would beat Drake too. So maybe that's not necessarily true, but I think it's the first time in a long time that the overwhelming majority of people are really skewed towards the other side of Drake. Like, it's happened before. People thought that Meek Mill was going to wash Drake. Didn't happen. People thought that Pusha T was going to end Drake. He won that battle, but he did not win that war. And so with this, people really just don't like Drake. So he's fighting not only the Kendrick stans, who are so annoying. Like, the Drake stans are annoying too, don't get it twisted, but the Kendrick stans might be even more annoying because of the fact that they don't think Kendrick can do anything wrong. I have not seen one Kendrick fan admit any holes or anything that could be wrong with any of the songs that he do. As a Drake fan, I think we as Drake fans, because I've seen this a lot, although, and obviously you have people that are not going to be biased, but I'm just at least going from my perspective. The thing about Drake is that Drake is an easy read. If you are a true fan of Drake, you know where his weak spots are. So when somebody hits them there, you can't just turn your eye. You can't just turn your head and be like, oh, well, it's not that. No, it is that. It is that. But the thing with Kendrick stands is that they make it seem like that man can literally do no wrong. Not one thing can be wrong about him at all. Check any of the the comments of people. So for example, Lost in Vegas, shout out to them, good YouTube channel. They reviewed Euphoria. They weren't the biggest fans of Euphoria. People are dragging the shit out of them. Same thing with Ish. Ish got on the Joe Budden podcast and said that he thought that people was overhyping Euphoria. He said he really started cooking at the end, but the top half he did not like, which I literally felt the same way. I did not like the top half of Euphoria, but I felt like the second half that he started cooking. And everybody on the pod and in the comments is like, oh, you're a hater. OVO got you. Why? I'm tired of that when it comes to this battle. It's just like, if you are not 1,010% on one side, then you're a dick rider. No, why can't everybody just have their own opinions, right? So that's Drake with Family Matters. Let's move on to Meet the Grams, okay? Meet the Grams was dropped, I think, 30 minutes after Drake dropped Family Matters. That was surprising to most people, not to me or anybody that's been paying attention, because there's already been a rumor that Kendrick had a lot of songs in the vote for Drake. There was also say he had like a 19-minute song that was like Euphoria that he didn't even finish out. So no, it was not surprising to me, because it makes all the sense in the world. If you're gonna go after Drake, you have to be ready. You can't take your time and try to write and all this other stuff. You have got to be ready. When people are like, oh, that means he wrote that as soon as he heard it. No, he did not write that song, record it, and drop it in 30 minutes. He already had a lot of information that was going to be on that track. That's why he was able to drop that. The rest of y'all saying he wrote that fast are dumbasses. Y'all are dumbasses. Not even in today's world would that be able to happen. Not no song that long, that intricate is written in 30. Is written, it would have to be written in like 5 to 10 minutes to be uploaded. That's not how that happened, right? So, Meet the Grams. Meet the Grams, it's no change ups like it was in Euphoria as far as the beat is concerned, which might be like the hardest thing for me with this song, is that it's just one monotone ass beat, and the track is like almost 5 to 6 minutes, and it's just this very monotone therapy type of voice for 6 minutes, which probably is for me the first reason why I was having a hard time. But we'll talk about the things that was said. In Meet the Grams, you have Kendrick pretty much talking to each of the people in Drake's family. So he starts off with their Adonis, which is obviously Drake's son. He says there's Sandra, which is Drake's mom. There's Dennis, which is Drake's dad or whatever, right? So those are and then he addresses his quote unquote daughter. So the big things that were taken out of this song is that the most scathing things is that, like, he was that Drake has a daughter, and that Drake has, I think, like, people around him that are like SAs, if that makes any sense. That are sex offenders. I think those were the biggest things. I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm missing something else too, but I think those are the biggest things that came out of that, right? Is that he allegedly has a daughter, and that he is kind of like a petty, and that he be having petties around him. So a lot of it was like, oh, keep your family safe, and him exploiting black women, blah, 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 blah. That was kind of the biggest thing. So when that dropped, Drake is coming back, because Drake right after that posted a clip, something on his story that had somebody pushing the red button. And if y'all go back and listen to that song, Red Button, from I think Scary Hours 3, something is coming. Don't think that he's done. Don't think that he's just going to lay down. He coming back for that ass. So he posted that, but then right after that, he posted like, somebody please show me my daughter. Like, you niggas is in shambles or whatever, right? So Drake is pretty much saying that, like, I don't have a daughter, so y'all are really funny. Kendrick is claiming that Drake has an 11-year-old daughter, that he don't raise or something like that. Now, here are the things about that, right? Number one, when it comes to the daughter thing, right? Because the biggest thing that most people pulled from this was the fact that he has a daughter. That was literally the biggest thing. The second thing was honestly the petty things, but I think most people didn't. People are grabbing onto it now because of the new song and a little bit when this came out. But I think that wasn't the biggest thing because I think everybody knew that that was going to be an angle for Kendrick. And that's something else too that I feel like Kendrick has to work on. I said this in my last video. Kendrick, we already, because again, Drake is already overexposed. We know the things that you can say about Drake. It's not about you saying them. It's about you saying them in a clever and witty way because that's not tea. Everybody says that about him. Like let's, people make jokes about Drake dealing with younger girls. That is not a new angle. All of the angles that you can say about Drake have already been said. Now your job is to now say it in a clever or witty way that maybe the rest of us didn't think about or ever looked at it in that way. I don't feel that he did that. That's just my opinion. You could disagree. That's fine. But be respectful of my comments. But let's go back to the daughter thing. And I said this on Twitter. The reason why, if you go back and listen to Charged Up in the story of Adidon, most people, if you're being honest, will say that, not Charged Up, W Freestyle, sorry. W Freestyle in the story of Adidon. Most people, if you go back and listen, most people would say that the story of Adidon is a better diss lyrically. Like lyrically, it's much better than the story of Adidon. But the reason the story of Adidon worked is because he exposed the fact that Drake had a son, right? And at that time, I mean, I had already heard about those rumors, but that's okay. We'll keep going. That the reason that truly worked is because Drake really did have a son. He really did have a son. If Drake really doesn't have a daughter, then the impact of that long term won't be the same. A lot of this I'm realizing is being caught up in the moment, right? And it reminds me a lot of what people said about like when Jay and Nas was kind of going back and forth. Although I was alive, I wasn't paying attention enough to like music to really understand what was going on at that time. But a lot of people will say that either it's not really the better this song if you listen to that and Super Ugly and the Takeover, but in the moment it felt like it was better because Nas had been quiet and he's been away for a while and people didn't think that he could do it and he kind of came out of nowhere. So it was less about the songs and more about the moment. I think that's kind of what's happening here. People I think were more caught up in the moment versus the actual lyrics because I feel like once the smoke actually settles, not everything, but some of the things will start to come to light a little bit more. So, for example, this daughter thing, right? If that actually, I know right now people feel like, oh my gosh, that's just such a thing. But if that really pans out to not be true, like let's just say like, you know, I think they're going to do maybe another 2 to 3 more rounds. I think we're going to be here for a while. I don't think they're going to, because they're not going to stop. Like somebody's going to have to stop and I don't think anybody's going to truly stop. I think we're just going to keep going for a while. I give it maybe 2 to 3 more rounds. I'll give it to June before this shit's over, right? But anyway, I feel like everybody's in a moment right now. So the similar to the story of Adidon, him having a daughter, if that's true, that's a big fucking deal, right? But if we start to get a little bit more into it down the road and he doesn't have a daughter, then what are y'all really left with that song? Yes, he called him a petty and stuff like that, but again, you didn't do it in a clever enough way for me. Now, I will be fair here. Some people said that Drake's diss of Kendrick beating on his wife, if he doesn't have proof of that, then that kind of falls flat the same way that if Kendrick does not have proof of Drake having a daughter, that falls flat. You know what? To be fair, I'm going to say sure. But the reason I would say that it doesn't take all of this thing out of what Drake said is because he said a lot of other things. And not only that, again, back to them both having good things and bad things. The thing about Kendrick is that If we never find out, that kind of makes sense because Kendrick is to himself, right? Kendrick is to himself. I think that line would have been more. I think as days go on, people are going to sit on that a little bit longer. Although there's no real proof of that, we've never known Kendrick to kind of portray, we've always known Kendrick to portray himself to be something completely different than that. So if that's what you're doing, even if there's no proof, it's always going to now be a, I wonder, right? I wonder. Versus with Drake in particular, those are things we've already heard about him. So for the most part, Drake not only has had to deal with those allegations, but he currently is, and he will forever have to. So it's kind of like, again, that's why I've always felt like Kendrick, for you to really win this, there's nothing new that you can tell us. You just have to tell us you have to tell us it in a very creative way. I loved Euphoria. There was a lot of things in Euphoria that he said that people had already said, but I felt like he did it in a very witty and clever way towards the second half. I thought he started cooking. To me, at the very end, when he's like, you lied about this, you lied about that, you lied about this, you lied about that. A lot of people might have liked that. I didn't. I thought it was the second version of the, I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. And I like the way he did that better. To me, it's the same kind of lines, right? But the way that he did it on Euphoria, the way he did it in Euphoria, love that way better than you lied about this, you lied about that, you lied about this, you lied about that, you lied about this, you lied about that. It's like, okay, but give it to us in a fun, funky way. Now, I will give him his tens on like how he structured the song. Like, I do think the structure of the song, in the sense of like actually having a conversation with all of these different people in Drake's life to pretty much tell him how he's not shit, he ain't ever gonna be shit. Now, what, let me say this, did Kendrick lie? Other than maybe about the daughter, did he lie about anything else? No. 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 And I think most people really like it because FD Signifier said this, and I really think this is what it gets down to. He said, I love Euphoria because I felt like I wrote it. That's what it is. People are liking the fact that although these things have been said about Drake overall and stuff like that, that there is now one person that's on record and saying it directly to Drake what a lot of people really think about him, which is like, you not shit, you like to steal from people, you like to do this, you like to do that, blah, 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 right? One of the things, though, that I had said, two things that were said when both of these dropped, right? The first thing that was said was, how is Drake talking about, and this is about the biggest claims on both things. One hand, people were saying, how on God's green earth, Drake, are you talking about Kendrick beating on his wife, right? But you also shouted out Chris Brown in this actual song. You also always talk about Free Tory Lanez, who we know actually shot a black woman. So, I mean, I guess you can call him out, but can you really? Because who do you surround yourself with, right? And then something that I thought people was overlooking, but I saw that Kodak started trending later because I was wondering the same thing, was this. Kendrick, you're talking about keeping people's families safe and the people that he has around him that's that's offenders and things like that. However, you definitely had Kodak, who is a convicted, okay? That's not alleged. He's convicted. And when he was on your album, Mr. Morale, he was on probation for that. And I remember when Mr. Morale came out, at that time even, it was pointed out that how are you trying to do this full album about being on morals and trying to do this and trying to do all of this, but you have this man convicted of these things on your album. You could have made your point without Kodak being on it. So I loved the fact that both of those was being called out. To me, that was the best thing about yesterday, and maybe the most even I saw as far as people like kind of looking at things. It was the most even this whole battle out of everything. People was gassing both records, but I really loved the fact that I saw a little bit of unbiasedness come out from both sides, when the Drake fans agreed with the Kendrick fans that, yeah, Drake, you really do be saying free Tory. And even some of the Kendrick fans had to say, that's true, but you did have Kodak Black on your album, Kendrick. Both of them is despite me looking at Drake, if you ask me. Okay? So personally, I give the edge out to Family Matters. But I'm going to be honest, it's not by a whole lot. I'm not saying like he whooped his ass this round. No, Meet the Grams is a solid ass diss, like I said. He pretty much psychologically broke this nigga down. That's exactly what he did. He psychologically broke him down. It's just, I just wish that outside of the like structuring of the song of like, dear, da, 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 I wish that he would have put more doubles and triple entendres in there and just made it a little bit more clever and witty. Now, what he did do, okay? Let's talk about not, what is it, Not One of Us or Not For Us or whatever. I was at somebody's house when this dropped. I literally turned to my boyfriend. I said, let's leave. He was like, what? I said, we gotta go. Like, I need to be in the car now. We gotta go. Them 10-15 minutes I had to wait was the longest 10-15 minutes of my damn life. As soon as we got in the car, I hooked that shit up immediately. First of all, Kendrick, so smart. Let me give you a round of applause. So smart to do a hit diss song, because one of the things that I did not agree with people saying is that they didn't like Kendrick's disses because, oh, they wouldn't ring off in a club and it's not a hit. We're not in hit time. I didn't care about that. I was literally talking about the lyrics because that's all I care about in a diss. But so smart to actually do a bop. Very smart to get DJ Mustard, to get Mustard on the beat, to get DJ Mustard on the production. Amazing, smart. However, I will say, yet again, Drake, that's your ass. Well, I think he got Boy Wonder, so he might be just fine. Because them last 3 beats was fire. But again, you fighting a lot of people was the point of the matter, right? Beat is fire. It's given 2014, 15, 16 when Mustard was just on that crazy wave. Love that. So we could just start there. This, to me, so far, I don't care what anybody says. I have to listen to it again. But this, to me, if it's not the best one that Kendrick dropped, it's the second to best one, because Euphoria is still hard as fuck. I gotta go back and listen to this Not One of Us. But the reason why I might put it number 1 is because of the wittiness, the cleverness of the bars, the double triple entendres that I heard, and most importantly, the most important part to me is the angles that he went with. All niggas was asking Kendrick to do was this right here, which is call him out for being a petty, but in a clever, more direct way, because in Meet the Grams, you barely touched on him and you only really talked about the people around him, right? So you pretty much completely called him out, okay? And this is the most important thing. Not only did you call him out on the way that he is a culture vulture, but you broke it down specifically like to Atlanta, which is the mecca for black people, the mecca of hip hop and rap right now. And you literally named all of the people that he worked with and what he got and took from them. That is all I've been asking for, Kendrick. That's it. I said, if you go back to my Euphoria breakdown, I said, I don't like the fact that Kendrick took the route of like him being like a biracial guy or whatever, and you feel like you're not black enough. And I said, I don't like that, because that's never been the problem. Drake being light skinned, all that's not it. The problem with Drake that most people have is that he's a culture vulture. You like to go around and suck out everything from people and then leave, for the most part. Not everybody, but that's what you tend to do. Okay? That is what he addressed, and I love it. This might, no, I'm saying it. I think this is the best track. I think Family Matters was the best track from Drake. out of all of this. And I think Not One of Us or Not For Us is Kendrick's best diss so far out of this whole thing. Yes, Better Than Beat the Grams. I'm saying that it's because of the angles. The angles was right, and not only was angles was right, you broke it down to a T. You broke it down to a T. You broke it down to a T. Now, the only part that I don't really care for or whatever is you trying to give us like a history lesson. Because like I said, some of this kind of falls flat about you talking about protecting like black women and stuff. Like, just leave us out of it. Talk about everything else. Don't talk about us, because you don't care. You don't care about us. So, but keep it to the culture vulture and all of that other stuff. Keep it to that. And keep it to you siphoning black American culture for you to do whatever it is that you want to do. But to be fair, he don't do it just us. He do it to everybody. But yes, Kendrick loved that. I was so happy because I did not care for Meet the Grams. This is the one. And this could be Song of the Summer, to be quite honest. Like, it's a bop too. You can boop, 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 boop. It's a bop. Might be Song of the Summer depending on what Drake comes with next. So, I don't know if Drake is going to be not one of us, because that song's a bop. But I have faith. I would like to say, though, before I go further, I've been talking forever. Get in the comments and tell me, do y'all think this is the greatest rap beef of all time? Like, have we ever had two people that's this high up, like the top of the top of hip hop, go back and forth this much? Like, I know, like, Jay and Nas thing was only about a round or two, right? Bitch, we on round 4. And I'm telling you, it's not gonna end here. I do not believe it's gonna end here. I think we gonna get to round 5 or 6. I think we got about 2, maybe more rounds than us. Drake has to respond to Not One of Us. I think Kendrick will come back. I think Drake will come back. I think we're going to do this I could see maybe 2 more times. Maybe 2 more times. But we need to hold on. We are in a moment. Like, do y'all know we're like living in history? I be thinking about that when Beyonce drops too. I be like, I'm literally living in the era of Beyonce. How lucky am I? We're living in, no matter how you feel about who won or who's winning, we are in a moment. Like, we're literally in a moment. In respect to both Kendrick and Drake, because neither one of y'all, Cole, had to do this. Ooh, also, I would like to say this. The number one thing I've taken from this battle is that J. Cole is literally the best lyricist out of all 3 of y'all. And that's what makes me so mad, because I truly feel Cole would have washed both of you niggas. Like, if I'm just listening to the quality of rapping, not the moments, not the beats, like take all of that out of here, right? Not the moments, not the beats. I'm talking about literal lyrics. Cole would have washed both of y'all. And that's what makes me sad, but it also makes me happy. Because you know what? That's all this has proven to me, is that Cole is absolutely the best lyricist out of all 3 of y'all. I always felt like it was Kendrick, and that's my fault. That's my fault. At least right now, Kendrick, Cole would, I'm so mad. Cole would wash both of you niggas. Like, if Cole really got in his bag for this, like, 7-minute drill was okay. That wasn't him really trying. If Cole was to really get in his bag, both of you niggas would be out of here as far as I'm concerned. And that's why I feel good. I feel good walking away with the new understanding that Cole is literally that guy. Like, Cole is the best lyricist out of all 3 of y'all. Like, that's what I've walked away with, right? But outside of that, this is a moment. Shout out to Drake. Shout out to Kendrick. This will probably never again happen in life. This is great. The last couple of rounds, like I said, Family Matters is so fucking dope. Not One of Us is so fucking dope. Like, everything y'all been dropping, everybody can have their feelings on like who they felt like was better. But other than push-ups, because I hate push-ups, everything else y'all have dropped has been amazing. Like, just amazing. I'm so excited. I have to check my phone every 5 minutes. It's being said that Kendrick is going to drop every 16 hours until Drake drops. Drake, don't fall for the okie doke, because he's trying to do to you what you tried to do to him, which is trying to rush you to drop. Do not feel rushed to drop. He could drop 5 songs. It don't matter. It don't matter because similar to what I don't believe in the clock either. Similar to what was said before. It don't matter how long it takes when Kendrick drops. Because when Kendrick drops, we're all going to listen. And it's the same thing with Drake. It doesn't matter. Kendrick could drop 5 songs on you. When you drop, we're going to pay attention. So if he wants to shoot his whole clip now, that's fine. Take your time. Because when you come back, not only do you have to literally KO this, you have to come back strong. And not only that, but you have to have a few lined up. You cannot just have one if you come back, and I think Drake knows that at this point. You have to have a lot in the tuck. So take your time. Let Kendrick, if I was Drake, I would not be paying Kendrick attention right now. Other than listening to the diss, so maybe I can respond to some of the things. Other than that, I'm not paying attention to the internet. I'm locked in the studio I'm locked in. I am locked in, and I'm about to create a good 20-song EP on that ass. If I'm Drake, I'm locking the fuck in. I'm locking in because you have to have more than one song to drop. Because you know if you drop, he's gonna drop something right behind you. So you gotta get in the studio, lock in, and make at least like 5 to 6. At least 5 to 6 to have in the cut. This is so exciting. I'm very excited. I cannot wait to see what Drake comes back with next, because I know it's going to be some shit, because the last couple things from all of them, bitch, we got Tailor-Made Freestyle. I don't like 616, but we got Tailor-Made Freestyle, Euphoria, Meet the Grams is cool, Meet the Grams, not one of, we got all of that shit within like the span of a week and some change. This is crazy. Y'all get in the comments, tell me what y'all think. I'm out, bye.